say, ho! Welcome back to Nellyville. This is your host, Nelly from the Ville. Nellyville, not to be confused with the rapper or the singer. We not gonna go over that. No, I am not named after them, but I love both of those artists. Anyways, let's just focus on me and us and what we here to do. If this is your first time here, please subscribe, follow, come find me on all the other socials. Look, we are 9 episodes deep into Nellyville the podcast, and you got 1 episode left. So if binge listen, or sorry you missed the train, but don't be sad. It's 10 episodes in this season, but there will be a season 2. What? Did you guys know? Did I already tell you? Are you first hearing of this right now? I hope that you do come back. I hope I haven't scared you away. So, if you have already been following me along on this journey, thank you so much. Thank you for coming back. Bless your heart. It's great. Like I always say, it is not missed upon me. I really do enjoy kicking with you guys. Have we taken care of business? Everyone has followed, and everyone's already given me the 5 stars, and we've done all of this? We're good? Okay, great. Let's get right into it. I should probably have like a cool like little transition sound. Would y'all be into that? Like if it was like more sounds and like little bells and whistles in the podcast? Or do y'all like this more raw, broken down, me rambling type of tease? Let me know in the comment section. I need feedback. How else are we going to grow and develop without the constructive criticism? You would think after 9 episodes of this, I would have developed a little bit of rhythm, developed a little bit of technique, and yeah, here we are still stumbling. Before I get too hung up on myself and my narcissism, let's just move right along and just jump right into the topic. If you have not read the title, what are we talking about today? We're going to talk about gender. We are going to talk about gender norms. We're going to talk about the differences between pronouns and gender and sexuality. Now, this is going to be one of those episodes where clearly there's just no way. There is just no way that it is all going to be covered all in one episode. And the point of this episode is to just kind of hit the big topics, maybe inform the people, maybe try to clarify and try to make sense of some things. A lot of this is very new, or it's very new to a lot of people. And why not start a dialogue about it? Right? Or at least continue it on. Before we get too much into it, I guess I have to identify myself for people who really don't know me. I am a cisgendered, straight female, meaning born female. I identify as female. I identify as straight. Okay? I'm saying all of that so that you can understand what perspective I'm coming from, at least a little bit. There's so many identities out here, and I'm very glad that people are finding themselves and people feel more comfortable expressing themselves, and we are not stuck in a world of if you're born a man, you have to be masculine. If you're born female, you have to be feminine. I'm glad that, it is kind of becoming okay to just be gender fluid, and you don't have to be extremely one or the other. I like that it's a little more of a spectrum type of thing. And and for some people, they have gotten rid of labels altogether. I'm pretty sure y'all are sensing a butt coming on. Look, I am a very inclusive person, and I know usually if you have to say that you are inclusive, or if you have to express that you are something or that you are not something, sometimes, a lot of times, that means that you are not really that thing, or y'all get what I'm saying? But I'm saying it because it's a podcast, and I feel like, you know what I mean? Context is everything. So I'm going to try to be as clear and as concise as I can be, even if it's redundant, even if it's obvious, even if, you know what I mean? You have to be clear with these things. Like, I ain't trying to get canceled. I ain't scared to get canceled. Look, cancel me, you know what I'm saying? More exposure I get, woo, you know what I'm saying? I like to make jokes. I like to do satire, comedy, and this is in no way me making fun of the topic that I'm speaking of, because it is very serious to a lot of people. But also, hey, look, you gotta lighten up a little bit. You take life too seriously, then what's the point? Don't do that. But anyways, I wanted to talk about this today because there is such a spectrum, because there's so much is changing as far as gender norms and gender roles. It is so much, and it's hard to keep track of it. And if you are not necessarily in that community, or have a relative or a friend, or just if you don't live in a town where you speak about it, unless you're in it or you are know somebody who's directly a part of it, it's hard to keep track of all of these things. And for anyone listening who is a part of LGBT plus community, you guys, you really have to understand that, and this isn't everyone, but for those, if it don't apply, let it fly. You know what I'm saying? For those of you who are a part of the community, be patient with us. Be patient with people. There has been so much information that has come out in recent years, and it is changing so much and growing and adding to every day. And there are people who are allies, who are supporters, who want to be educated, who want to be respectful. And some people who are in the community, they are not giving people a chance to educate themselves. You know, there's gay and trans and lesbian people and bisexual people who just expect straight people, or even people in their own community, to just know everything. You have to be you have to let people process and learn the language, and learn what is acceptable, what is disrespectful, when is it okay to ask questions, where can you find this information. Just give people a chance to digest. And on the other side, the people, those of us who are allies or just supporters, or people who, you're in between, or, do better. It just like how black people don't like when white people expect for you to educate them. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but you can't just think, well, okay, well, that person's a part of that community. Not everybody's a teacher, not everyone's an educator, but look, if people have questions about anything, do your best to answer them. Be kind. Set your boundaries and expect for people to respect them. But if we don't educate each other, look, it's only so much Google or a book or a newspaper we can do. You got to hear it right from the source. And we have to have these uncomfortable conversations. We have to be willing to be open and honest, because that's the only way that we are going to understand each other. Now, I want to pivot just a little bit and go with what I was saying as far as give people time to process. And y'all know how I do. Y'all know I like to jump back and forth. But if you are a person who you are trans, thinking about being trans, or fall somewhere on that spectrum, you have probably thought and felt this way for a very, very long time. This is not in all cases, but for most people who are trans, you have felt like that was going to be your journey, and you've had some time to sit with that. It is not fair for you to just expect everyone to just follow suit. You had time to sit with your truth and think about it and process and all of these things. And sometimes you can come out as trans and you tell your family, your friends, you tell your parents, and they're like, oh, we already knew. We were waiting for you to go. Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes people just don't take a certain reaction as rejection or that they will never come around. This is a shock. If you are coming out to your parents as trans, and for those of you, at this point, at least to me, I feel like it is, to me, it's common knowledge. Wouldn't you guys say? The representation has grown a lot, but if you don't know, look, don't feel bad if you don't know everything either. This is not me shaming you. It's just, I want to say that I do think it's become more represented and shown, because I don't want people to feel like, oh, why is she saying what trans is? Like, we know. Like, I'm not trying to insult anyone, but I want to just make sure we're all on the same page. You know what I'm saying? To be transgender, meaning you were born one gender, whatever you were assigned at birth, you feel as though a trans person feels or knows that they were meant to be the opposite of what they were assigned at birth. So if you were born and assigned male at birth, but you inside your heart feel like you are a woman, then that makes that person a trans woman, and they are to be respected just as much as a woman as a cisgender woman, meaning a female, a woman who was assigned female at birth and is still so today. And the opposite for women. If you were born female, you were assigned female, and you feel in your heart that you are a man, that makes you a trans man. Now, I have to explain something else. There are trans people out here who identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, meaning let's give an example. You can have a man who was born a boy, assigned male at birth, will transition into a woman, but will still be attracted to women. You get what I'm saying? You can also have trans men who are attracted to other men. Just because someone transitions, now that's not as common, but there are people who transition, but their sexuality doesn't necessarily change. I know it's all very confusing, but see, that's the thing. Gender and sexuality are two different things. Gender is more so, feminine versus masculine, how you present yourself, how you carry yourself. Sexuality is what you are attracted to. Yes, confusing, I know, but stick with me here. That's when you get into pronouns. I know a lot of people are like, well, I mean, if they were walking around with lipstick and they're dressed like a woman, then I'm going to call them she. You can't do that either. You cannot look at someone and just think because they are, to you, you feel like they are presenting as male or female. You can't just use pronouns based off how you feel like a person is presenting, because you have some men who dress very feminine. They may even wear makeup, but they still want to be addressed as sir, him, he. You have some women who dress and, they come off as very masculine, but they still want to be referred to as she, her. And it's so scary. Not scary because look, you don't want to offend anyone. You want to respect how someone wants to present themselves to the world. And then you have people who identify as they, them. They are gender fluid, meaning they go back and forth, or they don't want to identify as just one. So they go by they, them. They don't use he or she. It's just they, them. And if you are not sure what someone's pronouns are or what they prefer, you don't have to make it a big deal. It can be something just as simple as, what are your pronouns? Just like asking, oh, what's your name? Oh, okay. And your pronouns are? I feel like eventually we're going to get to a place in society where that is a normal thing. I know I personally am, I won't say afraid, but I'm very cautious and very hyper aware of, I just don't want to use the wrong pronoun. So I anymore now, if I'm speaking to someone online, I try to not even, unless I know for sure how this person identifies. And I'm seeing more and more now on social media, people are putting their pronouns in like their bio or by their name. And I try to check there because it's there a lot, especially for people who are very gender fluid. They will usually put it there because they know it's going to be a question, or people who are transitioning and that kind of thing. People who do drag, people who are cross-dressers. You have fully straight men, or you have gay men who they're a man. They identify as a man. I'm he, him, sir, but they like to wear women's clothing sometimes for fun. So a cross-dresser just does not necessarily mean that that man is trans. So you can't assume that either. So if you don't know the pronouns, and if you are not comfortable asking, just my best advice to you would be to just wait until you hear somebody around them say and then follow suit. If I have any gender fluid or trans listeners, please let me know, how do you like for people to approach it with you? Let me know, and then if I get some good feedback or advice, we can share it in another episode. Guys, just don't be afraid of open communication. There's a lot changing in this world, and it's going to take a lot of patience trying to accommodate and be respectful and inclusive, and just not disrespecting anyone. Now, my only issue with all of this is, or a concern, I wouldn't say an issue, what's a better word? Well, one thing that kind of concerns me, is that's the best word I could come up with, is medically speaking, I think that this could all get dangerous, or even criminally, because while I think being gender fluid and kind of breaking gender norms is good in the sense of women being able to be the head of household, women being able to have a career and family, men being able to participate in more self-care as far as getting manicures and pedicures, and not being looked down upon, like, oh man, that's gay. Because okay, if he is gay, what's wrong with being gay? Like, y'all get what I'm saying? I like that, men can participate in things that was once, oh, you weak, oh, that's women's stuff, and women are now, you have more and more women supporting football teams and playing games and being in sports, and there's been a huge shift in the last 20 years or so as far as the marketing for women in sports, and they're, everyone can be included in things that it used to be such a clear divide. So in that regard, gender fluidness and breaking the norms, that's good. But what happens when it gets too far? Okay, so for example, what I was saying about the medical thing. So say you have to go to the hospital. Say there was some kind of an incident, an accident, or something. Yeah, your pronouns might be she, her, but if y'all get where I'm going with this, if you are presenting as one thing, it could be very confusing for the doctors, and it could be it could take up valuable time. If your friends or your significant other brings you in and they're like, oh, my wife, oh, my girlfriend, she, blah, 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 the doctors are going to prepare for a biological woman type of treatment. But then they come in and it's giving dude. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I know that people, you know who you are on the inside, you know who you are in your brain, but the biological part of you is very important, and I know that can be very triggering, because say it's not an emergency, say it's just something you gotta go to the little urgent care or the little clinic or something, because for a cough or something that's not necessarily like a car accident, but it's still bad enough that you have to go see a doctor. I understand that it's probably triggering to have to refer to yourself as your biological pronoun when you fight so hard every day to present as your true self. Do y'all see what I'm saying? I don't know what the middle is, because you want to be respectful, but police need to be able to accurately identify someone. I don't, do y'all get what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to offend anybody. I just feel like eventually you get too far, and then it's another thing is you end up confusing yourself. There's so many options, and then you know, people are, are afraid of, I don't want to say they're afraid, but you do have some parents, they just don't know what to tell their kids. And you have people who are a part of the LGBT community and allies that are like, oh, well, parents don't need to be afraid of gay people. It's not that. It's just, for some people it is. Some people are ignorantly afraid of, like, oh, if my kid sees gay people on TV, apparently it's going to turn their kid gay or something. I don't know, whatever. But for some people, it's like, look, when you raise kids have a lot of questions anyway. You're bringing somebody into the world. They know nothing. They can do nothing. They have nothing but you. And it's already hard enough to try to explain basic stuff. And now you have to give all these kids these options. Look, I'm all for little Tommy playing with the Barbie doll. And I'm all for little Sarah playing with G.I. Joe. I'm all for that. Let the kids play with what they want to play with. All of these options and all of these things, I'm not saying that it's going to corrupt a child and confuse them. I'm just saying it is hard enough to try to explain man and woman and feminine and masculine. It's hard enough to explain it to a child, and why girls do certain things and why boys do certain things. And I know that's the point of getting away from, because you don't want kids to grow up and feel like they are in a box, but they need some kind of reference. It's a lot to try to explain to a child, okay, this is feminine and this is masculine, and some people and it is all a spectrum. Okay, well, mommy was a spectrum. Well, some people like to be this much feminine and some people like to be this much masculine. And then it's like, okay, well, what am I, mom? It's a lot of options. And it is a reason why the gender and femininity and masculinity, it's a reason why it's just kind of just been one or the other for so many years, because humans need structure. Did it go too far? Yes. Did have women become marginalized because of gender roles? Yes. But to just go to the extreme where everybody's just like non-binary, meaning everyone's just they, them, no. I think that there needs to be something. I do believe that there is a spectrum, but I don't think that it has to go as far as the direction that it is heading. You can fall on the spectrum and still pick something solid. You fully have some people out here who are he, him one day, and then she, her next week. And then sometimes some people are like, well, my pronouns depend on how I dress. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot. And I get being a trans woman or a trans man. I even kind of get gender fluid, but people who identify as they, them, somebody, please, I would love to have a conversation with a person who identifies as they, them, and I would love to really get the full scope of what it is to, you don't want to pick he or her. You just want to be, you don't want to be either. what do you do? How do you, when you go to the doctor, when you do these things, like, I don't know. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying that it's just very confusing. I gotta go back to trans people because it kind of goes with what I was bringing up with the kids. So you have people who are transitioning, and while hormone treatments and surgeries and things have come a long way to be able to fully it's way different. The technology and medicine has just come a really long way. But you have a lot of people who transition to the other gender and then they want to transition back. And it's just like, to put your body through all of that. Because see, the thing is that you're fixing the outside. But unless you are, and normally they do extensive counseling and therapy and things before they even say, before the doctors decide that you are a good candidate to have the full surgery and take hormones and these things. It's the same thing with plastic surgery. Not the exact same thing, but if you have not fixed the inner issues with yourself, you going through this transition is not going to be the answer that you think that it is. For some people it is. Some people fully transition and they never been happier. But it is really, really hard. It is incredibly hard. And you have a support system, and hopefully you have a strong community and everything. But I got to keep it 100. You are alone. It's hard to be a black person in this world, in America. It's hard to be a black man. It's hard to be a brown person. It's hard to be a woman. It's hard to be these things that you are born as. But I don't think any community is more at risk than trans women. Trans men are at risk too, but not like trans women and not like black trans women. The only, it's bad. And these are human beings. And that could be a whole episode on its own. But I'm just saying that if you're going to go through all of the hormones and the surgeries and all of this just to get to the other side, and you're like, I was happier when I was a man. You better be really, really sure. It's hard. And so one of the solutions they have come up with the transitioning and to make it a little bit easier is they're starting to transition children. And not just with clothes and haircuts. No, there are parents out here who are allowing their children start the hormonal transition process before they go through puberty, because apparently it's easier to transition and so that they will go through puberty as the gender that they desire. And there's been a lot of debate with that, as it should be. I mean, anytime you're talking about anything with kids, it's going to be a huge debate, and that's a big deal. A 10, 11, 12-year-old kid, uh, if you pretty much, you know who you are at that age. You do, to a degree. I don't know how I feel about the transitioning I don't know. That's a big life decision. And yeah, I mean, you have to support your kids and things, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. I guess you have to do what you have to do for your family. Um, I don't even know how. I don't even know how we got there, and who was like, okay, well let's. I don't know. I would definitely like to know statistically, kids who transition, before 18 or before puberty or during puberty. I would like to know as they grow up how many of them regret that decision and what that I would really, really fully. I'm very curious about that because it just seems like a lot. It's already a lot to go through school with just regular puberty and regular hormone changes. I cannot imagine taking hormones and changing my body and still having to go to, like, are these kids still going to school? Are they still expected to focus and all these things? That's hard. That's really hard. I want to hear what you guys have to say about that. Please come find me on Twitter or leave a comment if you're listening on a platform where you can leave a comment. I'm really curious because I'm really lost on that, on even what to say. Another thing that was brought to my attention is I did not know until I guess it's been a couple years now, but apparently there's a lot of people who have issues with gender reveal parties. So, you know how gender reveal parties have become really popular over the last few years, where you have your regular baby shower, but the couples now, the new hip thing is to have a gender reveal. So people do the big reveals and, it pops out blue or pink and, they do something fun and then it explodes. Y'all have seen it. Y'all know the gender reveal parties. Well, there's a group of people, there's a lot of people who have issues with the gender reveal parties. And I didn't even know that was a debate. But apparently, some people feel like that's putting some kind of, it's harmful to the child because you don't know what the baby's going to identify as, and you're putting this pressure on them to be feminine or to be masculine. I think that these people mean well, as far as you do want to respect. I think that babies and kids deserve privacy. I think that people need to be more cautious about posting so much of their babies and their kids and stuff online because, once it's on the internet, it's there forever. And you don't know how your kids are going to feel when they grow up. I mean, think about pictures and stuff that you have at home sitting in a photo album or maybe on a DVD in like a flash drive or something. Think about pictures that you have from when you were a kid that you're like, oh my gosh, why does my mom always bring out that picture? That picture of me is so ugly. Like, at least it's tucked away somewhere in a cabinet, in a closet, in a storage closet. Maybe it's hanging up on on grandma's wall or something like that. But imagine if our parents fully had social media. And your pictures from when you're 13 and your pictures from when you're 5 and all these things are just floating out on the internet forever. And maybe some of you don't care. Maybe some of y'all like, man, I was cute, baby. I want to be out here. But some people, there's got to be at least a few pictures that you were like, okay, mom, dad, burn that picture. Please burn that picture. So in that regard, yeah, sure, let's give kids privacy. They deserve respect and boundaries as well. And these YouTube family channels shouldn't exist, but we're not going to get into that. And when I say YouTube family channel, I mean like families who put their kids on YouTube and they do like these family things and they make their kids like make these videos and stuff, whatever. But the gender reveal thing, I think is taking it too far, because no, we don't know how the kid is going to identify, or how much, if it's a girl, if she's going to be a tomboy, or if it's a boy, if he's going to like to wear tutus. We don't know where they're going to fall on this newfound spectrum of masculine and feminine. We don't know. But what we do know is that the parents have a right to celebrate a miracle, a blessing. And they can celebrate what they know. And at the end of the day, biologically, that's what they came in the world as. And it's done out of love. I don't think, look, most people are not, most people have evolved, but no one's having this gender reveal party and saying, oh, it's a boy, he's only gonna play with the trucks and he's never gonna be gay. Like, I don't think it's to make it seem as though you are putting unrealistic expectations on the baby because you want to have a gender reveal party and celebrate with your friends and family. Bad. Come on. I don't know. I think that's pushing it a little far, but we live in the world of the offended. Everybody wants to be an oppressed people, and people get really, really hung up on causes and things that they just don't matter. They just don't matter. No one cares about the important things. But to each his own. Do what you do. Now, look, I'm not all about the gender reveal parties, but for a completely different reason. I feel like I'm sorry. I feel like it's a waste of time and effort. Maybe I will feel different if I have a kid, but or just do it with the baby shower. People who, y'all just, look, I'm all for a get together and a celebration, and I love a holiday, I love a birthday party, but man, y'all just be out here making up stuff and knowing dang on well y'all ain't got no money to be doing it. Y'all do it as ghetto, dog. You know what I'm saying? Look, I ain't saying everybody, I'm just saying maybe do the gender reveal. You can do like a gender reveal with just like you and like maybe the grandparents, or maybe you and a couple friends or something. Like it be as big as and blown out as the baby shower. And then you see some of these women crying or being all upset because they don't have the kid that they want. I mean, I get that, in your mind you had a vision for what your baby was going to be, and some people do have preferences, but come on, man, how's that going to look when the kid is old enough to watch the video back, and they going to watch it because y'all post everything, it's going to be on there, on internet. I mean, imagine when the kid grows up and when they're grown, or when they're a teenager, or whenever they see it, and they see you standing there with your lips poked out, or you crying, or you doing all this stuff because it wasn't a girl or a boy. It wasn't the one that you wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Y'all just, Lord have mercy. So, look, at the end of the day, let's just do better about educating ourselves and knowing that it's a lot to learn. And for those, like I said, for those of you who are in the community, just be patient with people, because you're expecting people who went their whole lives. You're expecting people who went 50, 60, 40, 20 years of their life with society and media being one way, with it being that way, and you're expecting people to just completely change their mind overnight. Give people a chance. A lot of people do want to be on board with you and they want to be allies, but you have to give people a chance to educate themselves. You have to give people a chance to make them feel like that it's okay to come to you, to ask these questions and these things. So we got to meet each other halfway. You do not have to think like me. I know that religion and other personal things come into play here. I'm not going to get into religion and all of that. I'm not doing all of that. I'm merely just talking about that there's different pronouns and that gender is different from sexuality. I'm just pointing it out and saying that we are in a changing world, and no matter how you feel about it, no matter what you believe in, and if you think it's wrong or right, or you have to respect everybody. And I will say this about religion, at least if you are a Christian, God is love, and he says love everyone. And if whatever people are doing, it doesn't have anything to do with you. And the Bible says that you are not to judge. So, but like I said, I'm not gonna get into too deep with religion. But all I'm saying is, no matter how you feel about it, this is where we are, and you don't want to be on the wrong side of history. Do enough to be respectful. No, set your boundaries. But this is not a trend. This is not a fad. This is a changing world. I guarantee you, we are going to get to a point where on driver's licenses and passports, and on job applications, everywhere, it's about to be a common thing where they are going to ask you, what are your pronouns? That's about to, y'all heard the planes in the back? But yeah, asking pronouns and asking about certain things. It's about to be the norm, so I don't know what to tell you. I can suggest a show. I want you guys to go watch We're Here. It is on HBO, HBO Max, and of course just regular HBO. The show is called We're Here, and the show is if you watch RuPaul's Drag Race, it has a few of the queens, Bob the drag queen, Eureka, and Shangela. And it is a show where they go to various cities in America, mostly small, very small, not even just country towns, just small cities all over the country. And they kind of how can I say it without ruining the show? It is a very touching show. So you have these drag queens that go in these small towns and they shake it up. And they educate people on the gay community, the LGBT community, the trans, queer, lesbian, bi, pansexual. They educate on all of these things, and they give people a chance to embrace who they are and just really show the community, like, hey, we're just people too. It's, look, kumbaya, right? They put on a nice drag show with like a few of the people that they meet in these cities, and they do a whole thing, and it's very touching. And when you hear these stories, I think that it will change your perspective. You'll learn a lot from people who are actually living it, and get some Kleenex. Okay, so I knew that the show was obviously going to be about drag, but I thought they were just going to dress a few people up in drag and do a show that was going to be a little more lighthearted. That's what I thought the show was going to be. No, it is. It's heartbreaking, but also it's so moving. It's so fun. It's motivating. It's not like sad and stuff, but it has its sad moments, and it's really eye opening. And if you're looking for something that is real and raw, and you want just kind of interested, and maybe you're trying to figure out who you are and how you identify, and just if you have no idea a lot of this, what I've spoke on in this podcast, watch We're Here. We're Here. It's on HBO Max. I really highly recommend. The first 2 seasons are already on there, so binge watch it and let me know what you think. I think that's all that I'm going to say about it today. Like I said, there's just no way you can get all this in one episode, but I think that we had a good start, and if you want me to go on, please let me know, because you know that I will. So what do we need to do now? Before we close out, we have to talk a little musica, okay? And also I want to say, if I was pausing a lot in this episode and tripping over my words, and if I seemed a little not myself, it's because you have to be careful when you're speaking about this, especially when you are not in the community. But that's why I wanted to make a point to do an episode about this, because now people who are not in the community are afraid to say anything without feeling like it's a hate crime. I'm not putting any hate towards anybody. I have almost every episode of this podcast. Not that that means anything, but I think it kind of shows that I am an ally to that community and to everyone in it, whether it be someone who identifies differently just with their gender, or someone who has a different sexuality than just being straight. Whatever, even if you just a cross-dresser, lesbian, bi, pan, queer, whatever, non-binary, fluid, it's whatever. I'm fine, but it's hard to find the right words, and there's so much to talk about, and I just kind of want to put the perspective of what it's like to be a cisgender, straight female right now. Just like you didn't choose to be gay, I didn't choose to be straight. We were just born straight. I was just born, like, it's kind of like sometimes you feel like people just assume that you're going to have a certain mindset because you were born a female and you're straight. Like, I heard a straight woman apologize for being straight. She was like, "Oh, I'm boring." I'm like, and the gay guy says, "Oh," he was like, "That's not boring. We need the heterosexual people to keep the earth going around." Like, it's to the point now where people feel like embarrassed for being straight, and it's just like, and I am by no means saying that straight people are oppressed, but you get what I'm saying. Anyways, so I went back. So let's move on. music. We have to do the music before we close out. So, who am I listening to this week? Who do I want you guys to listen to this week? I have to take it back. Not way back, but a little bit back. And it's crazy that I'm actually saying taking it back because, wow, time flies. There is a band called Far East Movement. And y'all probably like, who is that? Check me out. Far East Movement came out with a little ditty called Like a G6. Bruh. Like a G6? That is... Bruh. When I tell you that this is my favorite song probably ever in life, Like a G6. I know. Some of y'all are like, what is Like a G6? I've never even heard of this. Like, that is I don't care how many times I heard that song. And I know that, people could argue that there's better songs than that out here. Like, that's like really that. But I don't know if it's the memory attached to it. I mean, it's a good song, the beat, the lyric, it's just fun. But yes, also it's a lot of fun memories attached to that song. And Far East Movement, they came out with a couple of hits. They had a couple of bangers, and then I don't know what happened to them. They fell off the face of the planet. But let me tell you something. When you have a banger like a G6 and the other couple songs that they had, when you do it like that, you don't have to... Look, if I ever have a chance to be a one-hit wonder, that's the hit that I want people to wonder about. You know what I'm saying? Popping bottles in the ice. No, sorry, but it was just a fun time, and it came from a time where partying was just really that thing. We're talking the 2010, 09, 10, 11, 12. Like that little, I feel like from 08 to 12 was just like a different kind of era of partying and club hopping. Because like you had people like Pitbull and Lil Jon. You had, Soulja Boy had just come out with a bunch of dance music. You had all this dance music, in like 7, 8, 9. But man, when you got to 10, 11, 12, dude. People were popping bottles. The Black Eyed Peas was out here doing everything was just a part. Neo was just out here. It was a different time, and I know everybody thinks that their era of like their teenage and their 20s or whatever, like everybody thinks that their era was, nobody was no one was doing it like they were doing it in the 70s. Like, oh, you guys, whatever. No, I think that the 80s was some wild times. I would like to do some partying and that was probably really cool. But I feel like that I feel like it was really wild in the 70s. I don't think it was probably ever an era like the 70s to party like wow. But I think that little 2010 era, like I said, like it seemed like, what you say, that 8 to like 12 or something like that. There is no other time in history. Like I'm so sorry. I will not be told differently. I think that everybody would agree. It is something about, because that's what the music was. It was this boom, da boom, 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 da boom. It was fist pumping music. It was techno. It was reggae. It was nothing but dance music. EDM was crazy. Dubstep was crazy. Rap song, like it was like the genres were blended together. You had country crossing over to the hip hop, and you had the hip hop doing more reggaeton. Like it was just crazy. The girls with the sprinkler, the fireworks coming out of the bottles, and people doing the bottle service. Like, I know that wasn't like when it was created, and I know that it has not stopped. But that was the time that, like, oh my gosh, like it was just a different party scene, and like a G6 just really takes me back there to the days of the dancing on the couches and having the sections and doing the valet and all. Like, that was the time you went to the club and you would really, I don't care how much money you actually had. And people always stunt when they go to the club. It's always been that way, and it will forever, it will always be like that. It's always been, that was anything too. But that little era in time, whatever, however much money you had, you pretended like you had 500,000 more than that. You know what I'm saying? It was just a time that it was very glam, but it was also very trashy. Like, you had people like Kesha. You had like, it was just, sorry, I'm getting excited because I'm just remembering all this stuff. And it was wild times, dude. If y'all ever want to hear about my partying days, I might actually expose myself, but we'll see. I don't know if y'all ready for all that. We'll see what it is now. Anyways, I have really ranted that this episode. I hope that you learned a little something. I hope that I inspired you. I hope that we can be a little more kumbaya. Please go check out that Far East movement, like a G6. Go find music, their other songs, and see if you found another song that you really like from them. Just go listen to all the music from that little era and just think about it. I'm telling you, y'all gonna be like, man, that was anyways. I've said too much. I've done too much. I had fun. So I hope I will catch you guys next week in the season finale. Don't forget, next week is the season finale. You do not want to miss it. You guys, we come so far. Thank you so much for coming along with me on this journey. And thank you for listening to me ramble. Once again, it is not missed upon me. Thank you so much. I will talk to you in the finale. Bye.